Good morning and welcome to CIGTV's live coverage of the lying in state for late national hero, the Honourable Francine E. Jackson. As you can see, the bearer party has arrived and the honor guard and mixed contingent. They have arrived at the House of Parliament where senior government officials for the arrival of the mortal remains of Honourable Francine Jackson. Today, I'll be providing commentary. My name is Takia Smith, and it is an honor to be able to guide you through this solemn but historic occasion. As you can see, the body of the Honourable Francine Jackson has now arrived to the House of Parliament, where friends, family, loved ones, members of the bearer party, and again, senior government officials have all gathered to greet her.
Front rank. Shuffle forward slowly. Slightly. Steady. Come marker. Step off from it.
Ms. Francine Jackson was born in the district of Bordentown on the 13th of August, 1928. One of her earliest memories was the devastation of the famous 1932 storm, which destroyed her family home. As a young child, she was adopted by Caleb and Mabel Powell of West Bay, and it was there she was raised by a strong and determined mother, and she learned the value of hard work, of faith, and the good heart that would define her for over or nearly a century. Today we mourn the loss of a national hero, a suffragist, a marriage officer, a trailblazer, and one of the great daughters of these Cayman Islands. And to others, she was a mother, a sister, a aunt, a grandmother, a friend, and to our beloved Cayman Islands, always and forever, a national hero. Again, my name is Takia Smith, and I thank you for joining us today. In Miss Francine's early years, she dreamt of becoming a teacher, and it was a dream that was temporarily set aside so she could care for her father, who was not well, but she did find ways, as she always did, to bloom where she was planted. And she went on to be an assistant teacher at the Cayman Prep School and the West Bay Primary School, now known as the Sir John A. Cumber Primary School. The speaker will now offer words.
In honor of Ms. Francine, because that represents a lot of what she stood for. I think I'm bringing it. Somebody will carry it.
A ceremonial wreath will now be laid in Mrs. Jackson's honor at the Women's Monument in Hero Square. This is especially symbolic because Mrs. Jackson was among the group known as the Phenomenal Four, alongside Bertle Jackson, Ethel Cook-Bodden, and Laurel Watler, who all ran as candidates in the 1959 general election, the first in which women in the Cayman Islands were allowed to vote. We see MPs, female MPs, both past and present, alongside Her Excellency the Governor, all taking a moment to acknowledge the way that was paved by Mrs. Jackson, and also seeing former MPs Sabrina Turner, Lucille Seymour, Minister for Health, Environment, and Sustainability, Honorable Catherine Ebanks Wilkes, Deputy Speaker Perlina McGaw Lumsden, former Speaker of the House Mary Lawrence, all taking a moment to acknowledge the contributions of Mrs. Jackson at this time, a very prominent and pertinent way to begin today's lying in state. Definitely feeling inspired in this moment as a Caymanian woman to see just how much Mrs. Jackson's contribution plays a role in our current political and leadership landscape. We also acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Governor, Honorable Gloria Matfield Nixon. And they're making their way back across the street. In 1957, Mrs. Francine Jackson, she signed the Bontown Women's Petition for women's suffrage, which was one of 7 petitions from across the Cayman Islands that carried 358 signatures, and it was delivered to the Legislative Assembly, which would go on to earn Caymanian women the right to vote and stand for public office. And she cast her first ballot that year at the age of 31. As you can see members of her family gathered together. On the steps of the House of Parliament alongside Honorable Premier Andre Ebanks, and other senior government officials. Ms. Francine will be remembered for her decades of service to the community as a leader in Sunday school, Girls Guildry, Christian Endeavor, and the Women's Fellowship, as a member of the Adoption Board, where she wanted to safeguard children under the law, a founding member of the Inner Wheel Club, and a successful life underwriter who came to know and be loved across the Cayman Islands. A mixed contingent bearer party led by the prison service with representation from police, fire, and the regiment will now approach the hearse to escort the body of Mrs. Jackson up the Parliament steps.
That's it. They're coming to get the casket. That's it. No, he's gonna. They have a different party. So that's the party. They're going to get it now. I'm the guard of honor.
Good evening and good morning, and if you're just tuning in, you're watching the official live broadcast of the Lying in State for late national hero, the Honourable Francine Jackson. You'll observe a bear party taking her body out of the hearse at this time, very gently, very carefully, and very respectfully. And you'll see her casket have been shrouded in the Cayman Islands colors. Mrs. Jackson's life of service extends decades. In 1982, she became the Cayman Islands' first civil registrar of marriages, and with over 4 decades in that role, she counseled and married young couples across the islands, performing over 3,000 weddings, and also for visitors to the Cayman Islands. She did this alongside her husband, Vernon Jackson, and she said that the ceremonies that they actually wrote them together, they wrote beautiful words that they said to bless and ordain marriages in the Cayman Islands. She also performed many ceremonies for her own family members in her beloved gazebo in her yard in West Bay. At this time, I would like to extend personal condolences to the family of Mrs. Jackson. I had the pleasure of meeting with and speaking with her and found it to be one of the most illuminating conversations with a very insightful and humble and kind soul. I immediately felt her warmth, and I'll always remember that. And I today stand in mourning with the family and the Cayman Islands as we acknowledge a wonderful life of servitude from Mrs. Jackson to the Cayman Islands as a national hero, and her legacy will be honored and remembered for generations to come. Mrs. Jackson spoke of her surprise at becoming a national hero in 2025 and receiving the bestowment, because she said, why her? And from the biography that I've read thus far, with more to go, we definitely understand why she was bestowed with such an honor. In fact, she and the late Honourable Sybil Ione McLaughlin are the only 2 national heroes to have received the nation's highest honor during their lifetimes. Mrs. Francine Jackson was a nonagenarian. And she was asked in her 90s the secret of longevity, and she gave an answer that captured her essence perfectly, which was love, laughter, and lipstick. Love visibly given to everyone. Laughter, being positive and grateful for the life she was given. And lipstick, taking care of herself in body, mind, and spirit. Again, as I reflect on those words, definitely feeling empowered as a Caymanian woman as we honor Mrs. Francine Jackson today.
Your Excellency, the Governor, Honorable Premier, honorable members of Parliament, distinguished guests, members of the immediate and extended Jackson family, friends, and members of the public. Today, we gather with full hearts to honor the life, service of the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM, the last living national hero of the Cayman Islands. While today is a time of mourning, it is also a time of remembrance. Honorable Francine E. Jackson was designated a national hero in 2025 in recognition of the decades of dedication and her pivotal role in the Cayman women's suffrage movement. In 1959, she declared her candidacy the general election, where she was forever known as one of the phenomenal four. Honorable Jackson lived with purpose, determination, and unwavering commitment to serving others. And in turn, she helped shape these Cayman Islands. Her life, public service, and her contributions will forever be remembered with gratitude and deep respect. May this time together be one of reflection, remembrance, and thanksgiving as we honor the remarkable life and enduring legacy of the Honourable Francine E. Jackson, GMM. Thank you. My apologies, my apologies. I now invite the Reverend Rohan Foster to offer prayers.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Let us pray. Sovereign Lord, our hearts are filled with gratitude, reverence, and sorrow as we honor the life and service of your faithful servant and our national hero, Francine Jackson. Having surrendered her life to the Lordship of Christ, she showed us glimpses of your grace through the kindness she extended to the wider community, through the compassion that she demonstrated in all her life. As the body of our beloved national hero lies in state this day, we give thanks for the legacy left behind, the legacy of integrity, compassion, and faithful service. May all who come to pay their respects be inspired by her life, a life well lived, and be reminded of the importance of serving others with humility and dedication. And may the lowering of the flag also be a constant reminder throughout this time of mourning and celebration of her life, be a constant reminder of the sacrifice made in the service of others and the values of duty. We honor her and we celebrate all that made her special in the presence of these islands and in the sight of you, the God of our faith. Loving God, grant now to Francine's family and the entire Caymanian community your peace that surpasses all understanding. Strengthen us with the assurance of your presence and surround us with your comfort in this time of loss. Lord, receive your servant into your eternal care, and may the light that you have shined brightly on your people continue to shine brightly through her life. Guide us, we pray, that we may remain to honor the memories of someone who touched and shaped our lives. And through her life, may we, O God, continue to extend the kindness, the gratitude, and the expressions of compassion that she demonstrated. We commend this ceremony into your loving hands and ask your blessing upon all who have gathered. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
The flag will now be lowered to half-mast.
The flag is being lowered to half-mast outside of the House of Parliament, as it will be lowered at all government buildings across the Cayman Islands from today through Friday, July 17th, in Ms. Francine's honor. The bigger party is now preparing to lift the casket and carry it over the steps of the House of Parliament.
General salute! Present arms!
This is quite a commemorative moment as Mrs. Jackson spent her youth advocating for women to be able to enter the House of Parliament. And now she will be given one of the Cayman Islands' highest honors and the ability to lie in state within the House of Parliament, something that she helped to advocate and fight for. An impactful, somber, and powerful moment. As you can see, the House of Parliament steps are filled with senior government officials, some of which are actual relations of Mrs. Jackson. Friends,
Guards! Shoulder! Arms!
as you can see,
And that ace! Stand easy.
the casket is now being taken into the anteroom at the House of Parliament, where senior government officials will pay their respects first. Yes. If you're just joining us, you're watching the official lying in state for the Honourable Francine E. Jackson, GMM, and National Hero. My name is Takia Smith, and I'll be providing commentary throughout today's lying in state. The lying in state is being streamed live on the Cayman Islands Government YouTube channel throughout its entire duration, as well as the Cayman Islands Government cable channel. Members of the public will also be allowed to come and pay their respects to the Honorable Francine Jackson in person from 10:30 to 12.
Guards! Out of action! Guards! Move to the left in files! Left turn! Guards! Fire left! Right trail! Quick! March! Left! Right! Left! Right! Left! Right! Left! Left wheel! Left! Right! Left! Right! Left wheel! Left! Right! Left! Right! Left! Right! Left! Left! Right! Guards! Out! All out, guys. Thank you. All out. No one. Right here. Right here.
Representatives from the Cayman Islands Coast Guard have now taken their positions as the first persons to stand in the Guard of Honor. And now we'll have or begin to see our senior leaders and the family of Mrs. Jackson come in to pay their official respects.
Warrant time.
Mrs. Jackson passed away peacefully on Sunday, July 5th, and she was 97 years old. You'll see her family now being escorted up the steps of the House of Parliament, where they will be able to share a tender moment with their loved one, supported by
Bus is on.
senior government officials and representatives from the House of Parliament.
Guess what now? I am the police. Police get.
Here we have her daughter and granddaughter
He's out there.
taking a moment.
Hold on, I feel so.
Followed by her daughter and son-in-law. Mrs. Jackson's rich legacy through her family has shown a lot of familiar faces now serving in public office, her children and grandchildren choosing to enter public life and serve the Cayman Islands in much the same way. So amongst her family, you will see familiar faces. We keep them in our prayers, our thoughts during this time of grief, and we support them as a nation, as people, as a family, and we thank them for allowing us to share in this moment and honor Mrs. Jackson as a national hero. Mrs. Jackson is remembered for having a large family and inviting persons who weren't blood relatives to join her every Sunday for tea. She said in her own words that it could be 5 people, it could be 50. She always made room and accommodated for fellowship, family, and friendship throughout her lifetime. And that's just one of the many things or many reasons why we celebrate the memory of Mrs. Jackson today. The procession into the anteroom at the House of Parliament continues as loved ones come to pay their respects to the Honourable Francine E. Jackson, GMM. Again, as we acknowledge the solemn and somber tone of this moment, we also celebrate a legacy of a woman who chose to forge a different path, not only for herself, but to leave room for the women who came behind her. Earlier during this broadcast, we saw a very powerful moment where current and past women members of government lay a wreath at the Women's Monument in Hero Square to say thank you to Mrs. Jackson for her contributions for women's suffrage in the Cayman Islands. We now see Honorable Speaker D. Ezard Miller entering the anteroom. He'll be the first of the government officials to pay his official respects. Again, if you're just now joining us, my name is Takia Smith, and this is a live broadcast of the lying-in state for the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM, and National Hero. Speaker is taking a moment to sign the official condolence book. In just a few moments, Honorable Premier Andre Ebanks will step up and pay respects and do the same by signing the official condolence book from the government. Her Excellency, the Governor, Mrs. Jane Owen, paying her respects, followed by Honorable Premier Andre Ebanks. Premier Ebanks spoke fondly of Mrs. Jackson, having shared a love for the Cayman people and being residents of the District of West Bay in common. At the 2026 National Heroes Day celebrations, he personally gave Mrs. Jackson a warm hug and also a bouquet of flowers. Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Honorable Joseph Hugh, followed by Deputy Speaker and MP, Honorable Perlina McGaw-Lumsden. Again, she was one of the ladies who was a part of that powerful photo at the Women's Monument earlier this morning. Our Deputy Governor, Honorable Gloria McPhail-Nixon, another trailblazer in her own right as the Cayman Islands' first woman Deputy Governor, taking a moment to pay her respects. We'll continue to see senior leaders, past and present, pay their respects. The Honorable Catherine Ebanks Wilkes, Minister for Health, Environment, and Sustainability, also would have known Mrs. Jackson through her ties to West Bay. Honorable Johanny J. Banks, Minister for Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing, and Infrastructure. Minister Michael Miles, Honorable Michael Miles, Minister for Immigration and Cayman and Employment and Immigration, forgive me. Minister for District Administration and Home Affairs, Honorable Nicholas DaCosta. The historic significance of this moment is, as we mentioned earlier, Mrs. Francine Jackson was one of only 2 national heroes who received the bestowment during their lifetime. So many of our MPs are taking a moment to reflect at the time spent with Mrs. Jackson and having had the opportunity to know her and speak with her and to remember their contributions, her contributions to their lives and to the Cayman Islands overall. Previously, we had Mrs. Julie Hunter, followed by Ms. Heather Bawden. Mr. Roy McTaggart. Mr. Roy Tatum. Members of the public will be able to come and pay their respects. Mr. Dwayne Seymour, MP for Bordentown East. Followed by MP Chris Saunders, member for Bordentown West. As we mentioned earlier, Mrs. Jackson was born in Bordentown and has fond ties, family, and memories to that district. So though she was a resident of West Bay, she definitely still had part of her heart in Bordentown, but overall was a daughter of the soil and a hero to these Cayman Islands. MP Wayne Panton, Honorable Wayne Panton, pays his respects. Attorney General Honorable Samuel Belgian pays his respects. Members of the public who wish to also pay their respects will be allowed to attend the House of Parliament in just a few moments. Here we have Cabinet Secretary Mr. Samuel Rose. We have former Speaker Honorable Mary Lawrence, and former MP Mrs. Lucille Seymour, each with their own track records of making historic contributions to the Cayman Islands. I'm sure they fondly remember Mrs. Jackson, Ms. Daphne Orrit, followed by former MP, Ms. Sabrina Turner. If you're just now joining us, we are broadcasting the official lying in state for the Honourable Francine Jackson, National Hero. You would have just seen senior government officials and chief officers paying their respects. We'll now see a changing of the guard at the Guard of Honor before public access will be given to those who wish to pay their respects at the House of Parliament. As we see members of the Vigil Party now take their post, we take a moment to further reflect on the life and journey of the Honorable Francine E. Jackson. In 2017, Mrs. Jackson set down her own account of the women's suffrage movement in the Cayman Islands. She described Bordentown in the 1950s, the Presbyterian church at the center of everything, and the women's cooperative where baskets were plaited, heavy cakes were made, and in her words, the women sat around and wove their dreams, their hopes, and fears into the fabric they prepared. She described a movement that had to be built in secrecy. No telephones, no public transportation, and handwritten minutes carried between the districts by the church minister. She described a first petition in 1948, dismissed by vestrymen who claimed women were not politically educated enough to vote. And she described how the women refused to accept that answer, demonstrating outside the Georgetown Town Hall and organizing district by district, church hall by church hall, until 7 petitions bearing 358 signatures were delivered to the Legislative Assembly in March of 1957. It was in September 1959 that Cayman Island women won the right to vote and to start for office. Mrs. Jackson called it the story of ordinary women reaching for their power they had not realized they had, women from all walks of life and from all districts working together, and it forever changed this country and ushered the Cayman Islands into the modern political era. Her own family was woven into that history. Her husband's aunt, the Honorable Evelyn Wood, became the first woman elected to the Legislative Assembly and is herself a national hero. And while Mrs. Jackson stood for office in her own right, one of the women who ensured that the door, once opened, would never close. Again, a powerful legacy as members of the public and loved ones and friends begin to pay their respects. A powerful legacy left behind by Mrs. Jackson, and a beautiful story that will be retold for centuries to come. The lying in state is one of 2 ceremonial observances honoring Mrs. Jackson this week. Today's lying in state will be followed by the official funeral this Friday, the 17th of July at 4 o'clock at the Wesleyan Holiness Church in West Bay. And we will also be broadcasting the official funeral live here on the Cayman Islands Government official cable and YouTube channels. We now see clerks and other members of staff from the House of Parliament paying their respects to Mrs. Jackson. Another inspiring moment to see two young girls come to pay their respects to the Honourable Francine Jackson, who was once like them, a dreamer, and had her own desires and wishes to make an impact. And I hope that they have been told her story in all its beauty and at length. Taken in this solemn but historic occasion. We see Mrs. Mary Lawrence stopping to sign the condolence book. And tenderly touch the face of her former friend and colleague. Definitely a bittersweet day as we thank Mrs. Jackson for her contributions to the Cayman Islands over her long and prosperous life. Again, if you're just now joining us, you're watching the official live broadcast of the lying in state for the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, JMM, and National Hero. The doors are now open to the public to come pay their respects at the House of Parliament and to sign the official condolence book. If you're joining us from home, wish to pay your respects in person, public viewing will remain open until 12:30 this afternoon. We encourage you to come and be a part of this national moment of farewell. If you're joining us virtually, you can also leave comments on our live stream, paying your respects. My name is Takia Smith, and it is an honor to be providing live commentary for this moment in history. Again, on behalf of myself and the team here at CIG TV, the Department of Communications, we extend our condolences to the family of Mrs. Jackson and keep them close to our hearts and our minds during this challenging time. And again, thank you for joining me for today's live broadcast. Good morning and welcome once again to the official lying in state for the Honorable Francine Jackson, GMM and National Hero. We see representation from the Cayman Islands Prison Service now relieving their counterparts in the visual party. Mrs. Jackson will be deeply remembered and fondly remembered for her extensive contributions to the Cayman Islands, one of which is being the first civil marriage registrar here in the Cayman Islands and having performed nearly 3,000 weddings during her lifetime. She recalled the joy of performing weddings alongside her own husband, the late Vernon Jackson, and how much pride they took in penning beautiful words and blessings that they would say over other young couples, some of which were her own family members in her own lifetime. It was this warmth, this kindness, and this desire to extend a life of service that led her to be nominated for the National Hero role. Here we have her daughter, Miss Joy Basdeo, accompanied by the two young ladies I mentioned previously, and taking a moment to really explain and outline the significance of Mrs. Jackson to their own future. Again, a solemn but powerful visual here. Members of the public can attend the House of Parliament again till 12:30 to pay their respects in person. However, if you're joining us virtually, feel free to leave a comment, a word of encouragement for the family, your own fond memory of Mrs. Jackson as we join together for this moment of national farewell. Again, I'm Takia Smith, and it's my privilege to be here with you this morning. We're already seeing some comments on our live stream from members of the public. One says, "Thank you, Mrs. Jackson, for all your great contributions to our society and your sweet, beautiful character." Another says, "Condolences to all who loved her. Rest in peace, sweet lady." Another says, "A beautiful and befitting ceremony for the Honorable Francine Jackson. What a privilege to have served with her and to have been blessed by her love and gracious hospitality. Rest in peace, Miss Francine." And we expect that that sentiment will carry throughout the remainder of today's lying in state and during the Cayman Islands period of official mourning, and even further as the Honorable Francine Jackson is remembered as a national hero. Good morning and welcome once again to the official live broadcast of the Lying in State for the Honourable Francine Jackson, GMM, and National Hero. My name is Takia Smith, and I'll be providing live commentary throughout the remainder of today's Lying in State. We now see members of the Vigil Party pausing to take time to pay their respects before they relieve their counterparts. Today, we've already seen senior government leaders and officials pay their respects alongside the family of Mrs. Jackson. We pause to remember during their time of grief. Today, we remember a rich legacy left behind by Mrs. Jackson, affectionately known as Miss Francine, throughout these islands. Remember her for being a trailblazer in many regards, but especially for her role as a woman suffragist. Mrs. Jackson was made a national hero in 2025. She is one of two national heroes who had the privilege of receiving the bestowment in their lifetimes. The others have been posthumous. Mrs. Jackson recalled during knowing each of the national heroes for herself and being exceptionally honored to have joined a cadre of Caymanians who dedicated their lives of service. She also credited her faith and her belief in God as being her rationale behind why she chose to lead such a life of exemplary service. She spoke fondly about her time since becoming a national hero and what she enjoyed most, which was being able to visit the children of our schools and to speak with them and to commune with them in person. We see members of the public coming to pay their official respects. Ceremonial activities will continue for Mrs. Jackson throughout this week. Flags will remain lowered at half-mast across all government buildings in honor of Mrs. Jackson's memory. The official funeral will also be held on Friday, July 17th at the Wesleyan Holiness Church in West Bay, starting at 4 p.m. We'll also be providing a live broadcast. We'll also be providing live broadcast of that funeral here on our YouTube and government channels, so be sure to tune in. As of right now, members of the public can attend the House of Parliament to pay their respects, and will be able to do so until about 12:30 p.m. today and sign the official condolence book that is posted at the House of Parliament. If you are joining us virtually, feel free to leave a comment on the live stream, whether it is a word of encouragement to the family at this time or your own fond memory of Mrs. Francine Jackson. If you would like to learn more about the ceremonial activities, as well as to gather more information about Mrs. Jackson's legacy, you can log on to gov.ky/Mrs. Francine, where you'll find all that information in one place. We thank you again for joining us. My name is Takia Smith as we commemorate this moment of national farewell to our hero, Mrs. Francine Jackson. To our viewers who may just now being able to get a chance to join us this morning, we did a short biography of Ms. Francine that I will share again. Francine Jackson was born in Town on the 13th of August, 1928, and one of her earliest memories was the devastation of the 1932 storm that destroyed her family home. She was later adopted by Caleb and Mabel Powell of West Bay, and it was there that she was raised, that she learned hard work, that she began the life of service that we're honoring her for today, and will be doing so for the remainder of this period of mourning and forevermore, anytime we recall her being a national hero. She served as an assistant teacher at both the Cayman Prep School and the Sir John A. Cumber Primary School in West Bay, and has always been known for her love of children. She married Mr. Vernon Jackson of Town in 1950, and their marriage would go on to last 65 years. The Vernon Jackson Memorial Library in Town stands in his honor for his contributions as an educator in these Cayman Islands. She spoke of him as being a wonderful father and a great husband. She and Mr. Jackson moved to Town in the mid-1950s, and it was there that her role in the women's suffrage movement would begin. She recalled it being Town being the hotbed of politics, and its women who gathered on porches, plaited in thatch, and weaving their hopes into fabric that they prepared, and determined that Cayman women would win the right to vote. In 1957, she became one of 358 signatures across 7 petitions that would earn Cayman women the right to vote, and then went on in 1959 to be one of the phenomenal 4, alongside Bird L. Jackson, Ethel Cook Bodden, and Laura Watler, who all ran as candidates in the 1959 general election, the very first in which she could vote, and the same one that she fought diligently alongside her Cayman sisters to have the ability to play a part in. What a legacy. What a rich and lasting legacy left behind by Mrs. Jackson. We see our Deputy Governor taking another moment to pay her respects. Almost 30 years later, she went on to become the Cayman Islands' first civil marriage registrar and perform thousands of weddings for young couples in the Cayman Islands, whether they were residents or visiting. And she enjoyed every minute of it, whether it was the preparation and writing ceremonies, performing them by herself or alongside her husband, Mr. Vernon Jackson, and seeing people being joined together in love. She'll also be fondly remembered throughout the community and her family and friends for her Sunday tea parties, where she welcomed whether 5 or 6 people from her own family, or hosted it for large groups from throughout the community, and she was known for making all feel welcome. Today we remember her, a suffragist, a trailblazer, a national hero, and to some, a mother, a grandmother, an aunt, a sister. Well, all in all, a solemn and historic moment today for these Cayman Islands, as she lies in state in the same House of Parliament that she played such an integral role in opening up for Cayman women. And as I mentioned before, of all the emotions felt today, I hope that pride is chief among them for those who knew her and loved her. In another heartfelt comment on our live stream, someone says, "Thank you, Gammy," assuming this is a granddaughter of Mrs. Jackson. "I will forever love you. You are the kindest person I ever knew. Thank you for showing me kindness is your best human tribute." And I would like to extend my personal condolences to the commenter. And I hope that in this moment of grief, you're also assured and comforted by the value that your grandmother played in the foundation of these Cayman Islands. Good morning. My name is Takia Smith, and if you're just now joining us, you're watching the official Lying in State for the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM, and National Hero. Members of the public are free for the next hour or so to compare their respects in person to our national hero. Mrs. Francine Jackson passed away on Sunday, July 5th at the age of 97. A proud nonagenarian, she said her mantra was love, laughter, and lipstick. Love, which she extended to others, laughter as an extension of that love, and lipstick as a reminder to take care of herself and present herself well. This lends very powerfully to her role as a leader in the Cayman Islands women's suffrage movement. One of the reasons she was made a national hero in 2025. Today we saw her loved ones, senior government officials, and members of the public already come to pay their respects. Another opportunity will be given at her official funeral on Friday, July 17th at the Wesleyan Holiness Church in West Bay, beginning at 4 p.m. We'll also be streaming the service live on the Cayman Islands Government YouTube channels and our cable channel. If you're watching right now, feel free to leave your own digital signature of condolence on our live stream. And again, there is still time to attend the House of Parliament in person, where you can sign the official condolence book. Again, my name is Takia Smith, and it's an honor to be here and provide commentary for this historic moment in time. Good morning. We continue our coverage of the lying in state for the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM and National Hero. We have just about an hour remaining for this lying in state. So if you do wish to attend the House of Parliament to pay your respects to Miss Francine, as she was affectionately known, you can do so during this time. We now turn again to our virtual commenters. A comment says, Mrs. Francine, you are an inspiration to the women of the Cayman Islands. Thank you for your kindness. I'll miss Sunday tea parties with you. You've shown me that love is all we need. I love you. And again, the sentiment throughout the day since Miss Francine's passing has remained the same. And the words said about her have been consistent. She was a loving woman, a caring woman, a kind woman, and will be remembered for empowering women, and especially Cayman women who came behind her to forge uncharted waters and to take on new challenges. Again, having had the privilege of meeting Mrs. Francine in person, this is definitely a bittersweet moment, as I am grateful for her life lived and the memories and legacy she leaves behind, but also empathize with those who knew her more deeply as they now grieve their loved one. But again, as national hero, her story will be told for generations to come. And we should be deeply proud and follow her example to lead a life of service. A life of service that has immortalized her today. Again, thank you for watching on our cable and YouTube channels. My name is Sakia Smith, and I'll be providing commentary throughout the remainder of the lying in state, offering again a reminder for the official funeral, which will take place on Friday, July 17th at 4 p.m. at the Wesleyan Holiness Church in West Bay. And it will also be live streamed and broadcast on our cable and YouTube channels. Good afternoon, good morning, and welcome back to the live broadcast of the Langan State for the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM, National Hero. You're now seeing members of the Cayman Islands Regiment take up posts at either side of Mrs. Jackson's casket, where they will stay for the next 30 minutes. Members of the public are encouraged to come and pay their respects at the House of Parliament for the next half hour. There you can find the official condolence book for Mrs. Jackson, affectionately known as Mrs. Francine or Miss Francine. My name is Takia Smith, and it has been an honor up until this point and continues to be so to provide live commentary for the Langan State, for our beloved national hero. Mrs. Jackson is only one of two national heroes that would have received the bestowment during their lifetime. We remember her today for being a suffragist, a trailblazer, a marriage officer, and one of the stalwarts within our community. Our digital condolence book, our digital comments on our live stream show a wide cross section of persons who have had the privilege to know and love Mrs. Francine. And we hope that if you have comments as well, or fond memories, or wish to leave words of encouragement and condolences to her family, you can do so in our comment section on our YouTube live stream. If you would like to learn more about Mrs. Francine and her legacy as a national hero, and also get the full schedule of ceremonial activities, you can visit gov.ky/Mrs. Francine. Today we saw a significant number of members of Miss Francine's family come and pay their respects, and just saw a lot of familiar faces from public service as well through her children and grandchildren, which shows that they also inherited her desire to serve these Cayman Islands, and we thank them for their service. We keep them in mind during this period of mourning and also mourn with them. Earlier, during the beginning of today's proceedings, a special wreath was laid at the bottom of the Women's Monument in Hero Square by current and former female MPs as a symbol of gratitude to Mrs. Francine for her contributions in the women's suffrage movement here in the Cayman Islands, and being one of the phenomenal four, the first of the four first women to contest for seats in the Cayman Islands Legislative Assembly, now known as Parliament. Again, I do express my condolences on behalf of the team here at CIGTV and the Department of Communications to the family of Mrs. Jackson, and trust that they'll be comforted by the fact that her legacy lives on. Good afternoon and welcome back to the live broadcast coverage of the lying in state for the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM and National Hero. We now see our contingent representation being changed for the final time for today's lying in state, signifying that our lying in state will only take place for another 30 minutes. Members of the public who do wish to get a chance to pay their respects in person are encouraged to do so before 12:30 p.m. today. Ceremonial activities will continue throughout the rest of this week. The official funeral will take place at the Wesleyan Holiness Church in West Bay on Friday, July 17th at 4 p.m. We'll also be streaming the official funeral live on our cable and YouTube channels. My name is Takia Smith, and it has been an honor to serve you by providing live commentary throughout today's lying in state proceedings. Mrs. Jackson spoke of being nominated for her National Hero Bestowment as a true surprise, and those who nominated her for the national honors described her as a truly unsung hero and the strength behind so many people. As a woman who never chose any limelight and never saw any reward for herself, but instead reveled in the success of her husband, her children, and her friends. Today, here at the House of Parliament, in this bittersweet moment, we are giving Mrs. Jackson her well-deserved flowers as a daughter of this country, as a national hero, as a community stalwart. And we salute her and thank her for a life led in service to these fair islands. Mrs. Jackson lived to be 97 years old and passed away peacefully on Sunday, July 5th. The symbolism of Mrs. Jackson lying in state in the House of Parliament extends far beyond ceremonial rites. Mrs. Jackson did fight for women to have the right to vote in the early 50s, alongside other brave women throughout the Cayman Islands. She described in her own words what it was like to run for office or to seek women's suffrage in the Cayman Islands and how it was birthed in secrecy. That messages were passed through the Cayman Islands through church ministers and vestrymen before a petition or 7 petitions made their way to the Legislative Assembly in 1957. But it was in 1959 that the women of Cayman were successful, and Mrs. Jackson, as one of the phenomenal 4, contested for a seat in the Legislative Assembly. She often recalled the fact that she did not officially win a seat in the House as a loss, but her contributions have paved the way for our current and former female MPs. As a woman, I thank her. As a Caymanian, we should all thank her for ushering us into a modern political era and reshaping the way our country has been led ever since. If you're unable to attend the House of Parliament to pay your respects, our live stream remains open for you to leave your digital comments. More commenters are expressing condolences on our live stream chat. Sharon Thompson 824 says, sincere condolences to the family of the late Honourable Francine Jackson. Take comfort in the presence of the Holy Spirit, the great comforter. Marissa B 91 says, my deepest condolences to the family of the Honourable Francine Jackson. She has built a legacy that will forever be remembered. C.R. Burton Gale says, rest well, Honourable Francine Jackson. It was a pleasure working with and serving with you at the John Gray Memorial Church. Delia E. says, we send all of our love to the Jackson, Basdeo, and Dilbert family members. May you feel Mrs. Francine's loving arms around you each day. Her kindness and her courage will never be forgotten. Elsie Black says she has finished her race. Now she's going to her heavenly home. She will be sorely missed. And Miss Jerry Robinson says, precious Miss Francine, the sweetest lady, gonna miss you. Thank you for joining us today. Again, my name is Takia Smith, providing live commentary for these final few minutes for the lying in state for our national hero, Mrs. Francine Jackson. Good afternoon. My name is Takia Smith, and you're watching the live broadcast of the Lying in State for the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM and National Hero. We're now entering our final moments of our Lying in State today, with our vigil party taking post. Today has been a solemn and somber occasion with a lot of emotions felt throughout, but a recurring theme has in fact been pride in the life led by Mrs. Francine Jackson and her contributions to the Cayman Islands Society. As we hold her family in our thoughts, we hope that they will be comforted as they recognize that an entire country has joined them in this moment of national farewell, and the legacy of Mrs. Jackson will live on for decades and generations to come within their own families and the history of the Cayman Islands. Mrs. Jackson spoke fondly about her faith and Christianity and how it contributed to her desire to make positive impact in the community. And she was an active member of the United Church, both in Bordentown, which would be the Webster Memorial United Church, and also the John Gray Memorial Church in West Bay. And she prided herself in never missing a service. The official funeral for the Honorable Francine E. Jackson will take place on Friday, July 17th at the Wesleyan Holiness Church at 4 p.m. and also will be streamed live on the Cayman Islands Government YouTube and cable channels. Members of the public who wish to express their condolences can sign condolence books that are posted at the following locations from now through end of day Friday, July 17th. That's the public entrance at the Government Administration Building in Grand Cayman, the foyer at the House of Parliament, the Annex Building 1 at District Administration in Cayman Brac, and the District Administration Office in Little Cayman. A virtual condolence book can also be found on the Borden Funeral Home website. All information about ceremonial activities for Mrs. Francine can be found on gov.ky/Mrs. Francine. Afternoon again, everyone. My name is Takia Smith, and we are watching the conclusion of the lying in state for the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM and National Hero. As you'll see here, the vigil party is beginning to fall out, and the hearse has arrived outside of the House of Parliament to collect the mortal remains of our national hero. Officials of the House of Parliament and family members are beginning to gather outside the House of Parliament at this time. Mrs. Jackson will receive a general salute, and the Speaker will offer words of final farewell on behalf of the House of Parliament. Inspector Ian Yearwood and a representative from Borden Funeral Home are placing the cords around Mrs. Jackson's casket to secure the Cayman Islands colors on them. In just a few moments, the body of Mrs. Jackson will leave the House of Parliament. Ending this bittersweet and solemn lying in state. Official condolence books will remain available for members of the public to sign from today through end of day Friday, July 17th. You can find them in the foyer or the public entrance of the Government Administration Building, the foyer of the House of Parliament, Annex Building 1 of the District Administration Annex in Cayman Brac, and the District Administration Office in Little Cayman. The bearer party is leaving the House of Parliament at this time to take up their post, where they will offer the general salute. For full details on ceremonial activities in honor of Ms. Francine, you can log on to gov.ky/Mrs. Francine for a brief bio and to see links to the official condolence book, the digital condolence book, that is, a link to this live stream in case you missed the beginning of it. You can go back and watch it in real time. And also a link to the official funeral once it becomes available on Friday, July 17th.
Leave done. God. And eyes. Stand easy. Shuffle down from the marker. Shuffle down a little bit. Yeah. Open it up. Give them breathing room. Good job. All right. Good now? No. Shuffle down. You have to come down. Shuffle down. Come down half a step. One down. Yeah. Good. Steady.
The Honorable Speaker will now begin his procession out of the House of Parliament
Good.
in the same order that welcomed Mrs. Jackson to the Honorable House earlier today. The family of Mrs. Jackson is stepping outside. Bear Party is now marching towards the steps of the House of Parliament. Just a few moments, they will offer a general salute to our national hero, the Honourable Francine Jackson. Again, my name is Sakia Smith, and it has been an honor and a privilege to serve in this capacity as your commentator for today. Before our live stream ends, please take a moment to express your thoughts and offer words of condolences to the family of Mrs. Jackson. We're taking a moment to appreciate the reverence, precision, and choreography displayed by the Bearer Party to effortlessly lift the casket and transport it outside onto the steps. The Honorable Speaker will offer words of farewell in just a few moments. Again, thank you for joining us for the historic, solemn lying in state for Honorable Francine Jackson.
Guards! Guard for no shun!
Close. We bid farewell to the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM, with deep gratitude, respect, and abiding affection. Today, we have honored a woman whose life was defined by service, quiet strength, steadfast leadership, and whose legacy lives on not only in her milestones achieved, but also in the countless lives she touched, reminding us that true greatness is found in serving others with humility, courage, and purpose. To the Honorable Jackson's family and loved ones, we offer our heartfelt condolences and sincere thanks for sharing her with our nation then and now. She was a remarkable Caymanian. May the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, GMM, and her distinguished legacy continue to guide and inspire generations of Caymanians for years to come through the values she embodied. I thank you for joining us to pay our respects. May she rest in eternal peace.
Guards! General salute! Present arms!
He now continues down the steps of the House of Parliament, carrying a woman who once stood outside of a town hall, demanding that her voice be counted and who leaves today through the front doors of Parliament as a national hero for the last time. Her family members and friends are looking on.
Guards! Shoulder! Arms!
Another general salute being offered as a casket is about to be placed into the hearse. And with that, the lying of state for the Honourable Francine Jackson, National Hero of the Cayman Islands, is drawing to a close. We would like to remind viewers that the official funeral for the late Honorable Francine Jackson will be held this Friday, the 17th of July, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the Wesleyan Holiness Church in West Bay. The Cayman Islands Government has
Right.
accorded
Stand at ease! And easy.
The Cayman Islands Government has accorded Mrs. Jackson an official funeral in recognition of her pioneering role as a suffragist, trailblazer, and longstanding marriage officer, and her many decades of community service. The service will be live streamed on the CIG TV YouTube channel and CIG TV cable channels. On behalf of the team here at CIG TV and the entire Department of Communications, we extend our deepest condolences to Mrs. Jackson's children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, to her church family, and to all Caymanians and residents mourning her passing today. This has been the live broadcast coverage of the lying in state of the Honorable Francine E. Jackson, National Hero of the Cayman Islands. May she rest in eternal peace. Please take a moment to pause and watch the final moments of today's proceedings. My name is Zakia Smith. It has been an honor to serve in this capacity once again.
Guards! Out of formation! Guards! Move to the right in files! Right there! Governor! Right, left! Quick! March! Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Left, well! Left, right, holding marker. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Left, right, left, right. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Left, right, left, right, Stamping, shuffle it up.